We've had this news of several multi-billion-dollar takeover bids overseas, initially managing to boost confidence in a global economic recovery. What's your view on where we're at in the cycle, given that it takes very little before we're back in negative again?
Yeah, you know, these mergers and acquisitions are typical of the bull market frenzy. People start looking for growth and opportunities, and they do seem to add that extra impetus that people look for to push the market that little bit extra. But as we saw last night, strong close in the US, and really this morning our market's not picking up on that lead.
Well, let's look at what's weighing the local market here, because when I was chatting to you earlier, you were saying that at the moment the local market is feeling a little bit heavy.
Our market's definitely heavy. We've been one of the weaker emerging markets over the past few days. We're not quite sure why. We are seeing a fair bit of selling in the Anglo's bulletin and some of the other resources. And you know, emerging markets generally are weak, but I do feel we're weaker than most, and it's hard to put a finger on exactly where it's coming from.
Because certainly we've had our own bit of M&A talk hitting the markets here. Of course, it's still persisting when it comes to MTN Group and India's Bharti Airtel. Some saying that that billion-dollar merger may be delayed by politicians. To what extent is the market pricing in a closure of this deal tomorrow?
To me, it looks like the market's pricing in a very low probability of the deal going through in the near term. There are a lot of people that are long in the stock. A lot of people have got trading positions. They're not really exiting with any sort of panic, but I think people realize that it's a long-term game at the moment. When politicians are involved, nothing happens quickly. So for my money, I don't expect any fireworks tomorrow.
So one would assume then the news that we've heard, that we're certainly not looking at a dual listing at this stage of the game, has hardly come as any surprise then.
No, it hasn't. It hasn't. You know, the news has been, they've been very good with communicating to the market as to what's going on and how the progress on the deal is going. So a lot of the news is in the price already.
What is your view on MTN at the moment, where yes, with this deal, it does get this exposure to the Indian market, but where its earnings potential here at home could well be hampered by calls for lower tariff charges, for example?
Yeah, that is true, but you know, MTN has a fantastic emerging market growth strategy that's worked well for them, and SA is becoming a smaller and smaller piece of the pie as time goes on. So I think overall it's still a very positive growth story. It's a good stock to be in, and personally, if the deal doesn't go through, it might actually be positive for the share price.
Still on M&A talk, South Africa's biggest media company Naspers has acquired 91% of a Brazilian e-commerce group, Buscapé.com. That's for $342 million. What is the market made of that news?
You know, I think the market likes it. The price is fairly stable. It's probably up a touch on the day, but really this is a share that's well above its 2007 highs, which tells you the market likes its strategy overall. This is just another piece of the puzzle. Naspers is a very acquisitive company. I mean, the e-commerce strategy, the global emerging market strategies is fairly well set out, and I think the market as a whole likes the share, and they're not specifically reacting to this news, but it's all part of the big picture and into why people are buying this company.
Is there concern at all about how this is possibly going to be funded? And we know that the company highlighted that it comes out of their own resources. Have any alarm bells been ringing around that?
No, I don't think so. You know, Naspers has got a very strong cash cow in the Mnet, you know, the pay TV operations, and I don't think cash flow is going to be a problem for them.
Just how soon do you actually see this business growing in terms of impact being felt on the bottom line with this Brazilian acquisition?
You know, I've had a look. The financial information is very thin, and it's hard to get a good handle on how that's going to drop through onto the bottom line. I think for Naspers, they're a long-term player. They have a very clear sort of growth strategy, and I'm not sure if there's going to be a very positive impact in the short term.
Well, for now, it's all of this corporate news that's triggering and easing back of some risk aversion to an extent, and these hopes for an economic recovery have really offered support to the oil price, gold as well, and most base metals, along with Anglo-Americans' comments that it sees sign of recovery in demand for metals moving forward. Do you agree that the near-term outlook for metals has improved faster than one would have expected?
Yes, I think, you know, it was hard to contemplate the levels we're trading at even a few months ago, but the commodity prices have run, and they've run hard. They have pulled back recently. I mean, oil is 15% off its recent highs, but you know, the growth story is turning around quickly, and people are starting to buy into it. One of the other things, we have a lot of speculators getting involved in the commodity sector, and that only adds fuel to the fire.
Well, of course, it's that consumer confidence data out of the US later this afternoon that will be intently watched. What are some of your expectations there?
I think that consumer confidence will be roughly in line with expectations. The consumer has actually been the disappointment thus far in the US in terms of the data we've seen and in terms of the recovery. So, I'm looking for an average number. I'm looking for a number in line with, they're looking for 57 versus 54 last month. I don't think we're going to deviate too far from that. If we do, there could be some interesting price moves.